and Candyman taketh away leader Fan Radio Network.
Start. Offense number 85. 5-yard penalty. It's first down.
And KFAN.com. 2 minutes and 28 seconds past the hour, 3 o'clock Central Standard Time. Bumper to Bumper show is back. It is a 3.5-hour tour, as far as we know.
Before the snap, ball start by the center. It's a 5-yard penalty. It's third down.
Yes, 3.5 hours. 3.5-hour tour.
Did I start too soon?
Ball start.
Maybe I started my This Is a little too early today. Is that possible?
I had a thought of, could I get him to do the This Is like 5 times in a row? But then I don't want you to lose your voice, so...
That could be bad, yeah.
We could start the show now.
That could be. You sure?
Yeah, I did 3 of them. That's enough.
That's close enough.
You'll hear more later.
That's the beauty of
Foreshadowing.
That's Guardsy, the producer of the show. My name is Dan Barreiro, former Inkstand Wretch, newspaper of the Twin Cities, and host of what we like to affectionately refer to occasionally as the afternoon Aardvark. On what is, I guess, the last cold day we're going to have in a while. I think we're back in the 50s the rest of this week after a bit of a chill in the air over the weekend here in the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul. My, oh my. Last week we were celebrating singing the Candyman song, reminding us of the beautiful lyrics of that tune. Who can take a sunrise, sprinkle it with dew, cover it with chocolate, and a miracle or two? The Candyman can. He mixes it with love and makes the world taste good. The football world tasted so scrumptious a week ago.
Sounded better a week ago.
Did it not?
Yeah.
But we come to find out the Candyman has a cruel side. And we saw the other end of it yesterday at the People's Stadium in downtown Minneapolis. We were reminded of the yin of it. No, I guess it would be the yang of it. The yin was last week. This is the yang that reminds us of the startling contrasts in football emotions for your average sports rube, in this case, your average Vikings fan. It didn't go very well after a promising start. Maybe that added to the cruelty for your favorite football team. 27-19 ultimately was the final score, and I guess it's fair to say I probably owe a lot of the national pundits an apology. As I'd mentioned on the sermons program, that I thought people were making it seem as if the Vikings winning this game at home was going to be the upset of the century. I had Blakemore look nationally to follow up on my own unofficial view of national predictions from the various big sites. And I think out of 30 or 40 predictors, we found literally one that picked the Vikings. And I thought, I get it. The quarterback's back for Baltimore. They're good, or they have been good. There's high hopes for them, but they'd beaten the Bears and the Dolphins. And I said, I just don't believe this should have to be the upset of the century. Well, maybe it would have been the upset of the century on the basis of what we saw. I don't exactly know, because most of those pundits turned out to be 100% right. And I guess I'm pretty sure I had another 0-3 week. My pick sensibility
we've all kind of been off.
Has just been brutal.
Yeah.
Absolutely 100% brutal. And we've got a lot of good Vikings talking points to get to today. Gargy's put together some other sound that may be part of the occasion. You heard some of it already. We've got an outstanding array of guests today which will include, we think, Adam Thielen at 3:30, Johnny Athletic at 4:02, Nacho Lieber 4:47, and then our old friend from Thrifty Traveler, Kyle Potter.
Ball start by the offense, number 75.
There it is. And so we are going to deviate a little bit. I mean, maybe he'll want to talk Vikings. I'm not sure, but I have had a lot of people asking whether we're going to have Kyle on soon regarding the degree of chaos for the aviation industry right now. I know we're allegedly on the verge of a breakthrough regarding the shutdown, but I'm told that even if that does go through, that there will still be a ripple effect for a while in the aviation industry. And I know many of you travel as well. So Kyle's going to join us. Is scheduled to join us at 5:30. I think I've asked you this before, and I don't know if we've ever settled it. Do we have any ping pong tables that the players can use over the course of a day? Because if we do, I think it's time to take the ping pong tables out.
Oh, take them out.
Take them out.
Oh, I thought maybe bring them in.
No,
maybe we didn't have them?
No, I'm assuming we have them. I'm assuming we have everything
we
there.
Probably have a nice arcade
there.
Yeah.
I'm sure we got Pop-A-Shot baskets there. I'm guessing every possible toy,
fun game
that any program could have, the National Football League team would have, we've got it there. I think we need to rip them all out of there right now. I don't think we've earned any of that. We're sitting here we're 2 games behind the Bears. Makes no sense. And now, for the second time in 3 weeks, we're facing a must-win again. We're back to a must-win, right? You can't lose to the Bears.
No, not at home.
You lose to the Bears at home, then you're 2 games under 500. Going on the road to, what is it next, Seattle and Green Bay?
Green Bay, then Seattle.
Green Bay first, then Seattle.
Yep.
Come on. What are we talking about here? And I got to be honest, first half, I felt very good about my pick. Not just because of the way the Vikings came out early after, Baltimore to me, the first half looked utterly bored with being there. They did not look into it. They looked like a team that was ready to be beaten. Quite frankly, I didn't think Jackson looked dynamic. I didn't think he looked that impressive. I didn't think anything about the Ravens looked that good. But our problem was we didn't build a lead. We needed to be up in that game minimum 10 at the half. And what did we end up being up? 10-9?
Yeah, because we gave them an extra 3, too.
Late as well. That, to me, told the ball game. First half, I think the Ravens were ready to be beaten. And the Ravens probably had more on the table than we did, given their record. They have, you could argue they can't lose any more games. But they didn't look that interested, or they didn't look that committed, or they didn't look that good. And I'm sure it was the kind of deal of, we haven't, I don't know what Harbaugh said to his team at halftime, but he could have done the cliched, guys, we stunk up much of that first half, but look at the scoreboard. We're down 1. We take care of business on this first drive, and KOC helped to make sure that the Ravens did. We're going to be fine in this game. Let's go and win the damn thing. They're going to make it that available to us. Let's win it. What are we doing? And sure enough, second half, the Ravens took care of business. They started running the ball better. They had just enough good pass plays. They got help from us.
Yep, we gave them
a couple of key areas. And they end up winning it, what did I say, 27-19?
Yes.
We got the touchdown. Then we did we're going to go, the chart says go for 2, which I hate. But we did, and we did get the ball back, right? But ultimately did not have enough time, enough opportunity to do much of anything with it. So we talked about it all week. It's stating the obvious that we were all bloated on all that candy after the Lions game. But what we knew was that if we didn't show some discipline, back off the chunkies for a couple of days, it really wasn't going to matter how good we felt eating all that candy on last Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, sort of in the aftermath of that kind of victory. It was all going to depend on what we did with that opportunity. And I'll say again, I don't think the Ravens looked unbeatable at key points of that ball game, but we didn't ultimately even come close to winning the thing. So here we are, back with, I think, one step closer to the realization that we might just have to be one of these cute little clubs that surprises people one week to the good and then turns around and surprises people to the bad at home where we're having difficulty winning. Have we won any games at home this year?
We beat Cincinnati.
Oh, that's right.
Because of the 9 defensive touchdowns in the first half.
That's it.
But that's it. We lost to Atlanta, we lost to Philly, and yesterday we lost to the Ravens.
Well, that's not going to get it done, is it?
No. Not with our road schedule.
That's for sure.
The Fan and 2 Men and a junk truck want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with our national cash contest. The first keyword of the week is Bills. Go to KFAN.com and enter the keyword Bills.
Do we know whether Fallness has among his aliases that Peter Popsicle is one of them? Is it possible that Fallness has an alias called Peter Popsicle?
Very possible.
Because Peter Popsicle claims he's in disbelief. The Surging Wild win 2 in a row, including a shutout last night.
Yeah.
And Dan starts the show talking about the last place Vikings.
And now, famous moments in a kick-ass offense.
Minnesota 3 of 4 on third down. 3rd and 8 from the Ravens. 31. Hawkinson in motion to the right of McCarthy. 3 receivers right, 1 left. Snap. Play stoppage. Sean Hockley staff throws flags.
Before the snap, false start by the center. It's a 5-yard penalty. It's 3rd down.
Blake Brandel in his 6th start, make that his 5th start.
Yeah, that must be something that he's doing with the football before the snap.
Join us again for another famous moment in a kick-ass offense.
One guy asks, why is the Bears game a must-win to accomplish what exactly? That's a fair question.
So is he giving up?
Maybe implicit in the question, he's saying, why are you pretending anything is at stake?
Yeah.
And that's understandable when you've meandered the way the Vikings have meandered this year. I'm going under the assumption that the Vikings internally still want to at least believe they have a chance to make themselves vital in the playoff chase this year. And if that's their intent, I think falling to then we would be what, 4 and 6?
We'd be 4 and 6.
Heading to starting a 2-game road trip, that becomes fairly untenable. He may be right if he was being sarcastic. I'm not here to tell you that we're in a good position to make any kind of a playoff run at this point. But given it's a division opponent, and given you've dropped back under 500, and given the game is at home, I just don't think you give yourself at that point much margin for error. Now, again, you could say, well, but what if we go on the road and win 2 in a row? Dan?
Then things change.
Then things would probably change at least. But even that is like, well, then you're back to, that's what's odd. Then you'd be back to 500, right? And I don't think it's the kind of year where 9 and 8 is going to get you in. I don't believe.
I mean, right now the Bears are in the final playoff spot at 6 and 3.
And the Bears are about to embark on a more difficult part of their schedule. They've had a very soft schedule, but they have, I mean, at some point, I keep denigrating them, but if you keep finishing games the way they have, admittedly against bad teams, but finding, comeback victories in pretty dramatic fashion, then, you have to at least you're in the mix at the very least, even if I don't think anybody views the Bears as a serious team to make much of a playoff run, one would say. We got a lot of good Vikings talking points, but I want to try to stay on the clock, so I will save pretty much all of those that Guardsy has put together. One of the more interesting sidebars, and it is related to a talking point, but well, you know what? Let's go ahead and play it real quick. Let's go ahead.
Come on, JJ, let's go. 2nd and 15 from the 25 of the Ravens. 2 receivers right, 1 left. McCarthy out of the shotgun. 4-man rush. JJ steps up in the pocket to the end zone. Incomplete. Justin Jefferson, the intended receiver, and he was covered by Alohi Gilman, that 6-year safety from Notre Dame. Nice pass by McCarthy. 18 couldn't bring it in. Now it's third down.
No, it was a middle open. JJ tried to run the post. That ball was really put right on the money.
That's a fantastic pass.
Actually went through the hands of Justin Jefferson. That's one he should have come down with.
Bursich is right. The headline for that talking point was CC, as in Chris Carter makes that catch. Ordinarily, Justin Jefferson makes that catch, but he didn't. And it's opened the door. It's an interesting post-mortem, and we'll talk about this with Johnny Athletic because he made it really the point of his whole column that's available via the Athletic today or last night, whenever it dropped, that there were some troubling aspects to not J.J. McCarthy's performance for sure, but for J.J. With Justin Jefferson as well, having to do with that's a catch he's got to make. It's not. I wouldn't call the ball perfectly thrown like Pete did, but it was thrown well enough on a timing route that he's got to make the catch. I think that's a catch that I think even Jefferson agreed. He's got to help his quarterback. Doesn't matter if he's a young quarterback or an old quarterback, whoever his quarterback is, he's got to make that play. The coverage wasn't horrible, but that's a catch he's ordinarily going to make. The larger issue that's getting more national attention is the video that looks worse on the interception, right? Where the one where he stumbled. Was that the one? Actually, there were two.
Yeah, there were two, both to him, but the third and one is the one people are talking about, the deep one where he stumbled. Yeah,
regarding his reaction, he didn't seem particularly interested in pursuing becoming a defender at that point, which is odd. I mean, the truth is we often see offensive players pretend to try to tackle somebody. I don't think he's the first to fall into that classification. But it didn't feel good. It didn't feel like competitor guy. Didn't look good.
Didn't look like Jets.
But
the alter ego.
To be honest, because everybody's got to have an alter ego. We know that. It was the play around the end zone. To me, that's where he really could have helped out his QB. I am not in the group because there are a lot of people who are offended. Like, well, we got Jefferson. You don't have to do a better job of getting him the ball. Well, they tried to get him the ball. And there are a number of inaccurate passes by McCarthy. And beyond that, if another receiver is dominating to the degree that Naylor was,
he had a great game.
Then that's okay. Yeah. The idea that you're going to get, that you should lose your mind over, but JJ's supposed to be the guy. There are stretches in a game where it doesn't matter who's supposed to be the guy, it's that the ball's getting somewhere. And in Naylor's case, it got there a lot effectively. Unfortunately, the accuracy from McCarthy was awful for most of the passes to Justin Jefferson, and a few to who's our other receiver, Jordan Addison. That was not helpful either. So it was that combination of things. Where were you on the interception reaction?
I just think it goes into the pot of I didn't like his vibe all day. I didn't think he had a very good vibe much of the day at all, and that was concerning because he is not. That might be the only time I ever remember him seeming that down. I don't even know if disinterested or disengaged or people were saying he's not into it. I just think he was down. Because I do think when he breaks open, like on the one pass out to the right, and there's no one within 6 yards of him, and the ball goes into the third row over his head, I have to imagine that's frustrating. As much as he wants to be a team guy and say it doesn't matter who my quarterback is, I've caught 1,000 yards with 50 different quarterbacks. I do think there's probably a cumulative weight here that he hasn't had the season he's wanted to have. And when easy pitch and catches like that don't happen, I just think it messes with his body language.
On one of them, it ended up being down by contact anyway, where he didn't respond, correct?
Yeah, I think it was that
Jefferson,
one.
Yeah, so did Jefferson mention, I mean, we have to factor that into the thing. Here's my bigger problem with Justin yesterday was, again, I thought he got a pass interference call he didn't even deserve, quite frankly. I thought the one he ended up getting was very iffy. A TV didn't, but I did. And he looked like, to me, he was in that mode where that's what he was constantly waiting for, was to get bailed out. And he even said it. He has to fight through the physicality a lot better than he did.
Yep.
And there are times where he does not fight through physicality very effectively. He just doesn't seem. That's why if I'm a defensive back, that's what I'm doing. I'm in his face as much as I can be because I know what damage he otherwise can do. All right, let's try to stay on schedule. We will talk to another Vikings wide receiver, Adam Thielen. That's coming up next. Johnny Athletic, Ben Lieber, and Kyle Potter before we wrap things up on what's going to be a very busy program.
And now, famous moments in a
kick-ass offense.
1st and 10, straight eye behind McCarthy. Ham. C.J. Ham in front of Aaron Jones. But
False start by the offense, number 75.
But
5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
2/5 of the moving company with false starts. 1st and 15.
Join us again for another famous moment in a
Kick-ass offense.
It's a very cruel game, the game of professional football. A week ago, we were chatting with our next guest about a big victory on the road against the Lions. Today, unfortunately, we got to do the postmortem on a disappointing loss at home, 27-19 to the Baltimore Ravens. Adam Thielen joins us via the Connecticut Water Systems hotline as he does every week. Thanks again for the time, sir. Where do we begin? I guess 8 false starts has got to be, that must have been a big topic of, or will be, I assume, a big topic of conversation internally because I know you guys break everything down. Do you have any working theories on what might have precipitated that extraordinary number for the home team? Obviously in this case, your club being the home team.
No, we definitely, obviously, it was a big topic today in the offensive meeting, just kind of going over the game and really, you really look at that game, and a lot of those penalties came in short yardage, after a explosive run, or maybe a 1st and 10 after a earned first down. Like such momentum kind of areas that those happened and really put us behind the sticks to start that next play. Where it's you kind of look at those plays like, man, what if, right?
Yeah,
What if we wouldn't have had those false starts? What would have those drives looked like, and what would have this game looked like? But at the end of the day, it's something you got to fix, you got to clean up, and you got to figure out what was going on. I felt like our leadership did a great job of kind of addressing it, talking about it, and then kind of putting in action steps of, okay, there's a lot of different reasons on each one of those. They kind of had their own story of why this or that happened. But let's talk about what it looks like to be a clean football team, and let's kind of go back to the basics of what that looks like. Communication, understanding the plan, really just being prepared and ready. There's so many factors that lead into those pre-snap penalties that it's not just, oh shoot, I didn't know the snap count. There's a lot going on. I think it was good to just be able to address that, talk about it, and move forward.
So, the obviously wily quarterbacks can use inflection, cadence. The hope is you end up catching the other team, right? The road team, certainly, jumping, and then you get at very least 5 yards, and you might even get a free play as well. Is there such a thing as because this is a quarterback who hasn't played as much, that in the way that QB emphasizes the hut, whatever, the cadence, that can be confusing? Because we saw a lot of people on your offense that ordinarily don't jump that were all kind of jumping. Can that be part of it? Is understanding exactly the cadence that's coming, or misunderstanding the cadence, the emphasis that's coming from the QB, from your own QB?
Yeah, I think there's just so many factors. I think, yeah, definitely that absolutely can be the case. I think there's also, sometimes they give us a look that may be an unscouted look, and the quarterback's got to kind of hold the can or the kill to the next play a little bit longer. When those guys, the big guys, are in their stances for a long period of time, it makes it tough on them. So I think there's really no one particular area to blame. I think it's just, sometimes it's just focus, right? Sometimes it's just you're tired. You're thinking about maybe 2 plays in your head. There's a lot going on. You just had a big play, so there's momentum. There's a little bit of crowd noise. There's so many factors that lead into it. And at the end of the day, you got to work on all of them, right? I think Coach did a great job, and I'm not going to get into exact details, but he kind of went over like 5 different steps of like, okay, yes, like could the quarterback do a better job of being quicker with the cans and the kills and those things? Yeah, for sure. Can we do a better job of focusing and understanding the plan and understanding when we're going to can versus different looks? There's kind of a 5-6 steps that it's going to take to really clean that up. And sometimes it's just somebody, again, being tired and not focused on the snap count and you have a brain fart. That happens too. But unfortunately, it happened in a lot of different cases by a lot of different groups. So that can't happen.
I'm curious to get your opinion on this. I thought the game, from your guys' perspective, was lost in the first half. I thought, obviously, the first drive was terrific after 3 and out for them. They, to me, didn't look really – I didn't think Lamar looked particularly dynamic through the early part of the game. Their run game, I thought your defense was doing a pretty good job. And yet, I look up at the scoreboard after that late gift, and at halftime, it's 10-9. You're still ahead, but it's 1. It felt to me like – you know how this game goes. You sort of have to get it going, take advantage when a game is going your way. And I thought, I felt on the basis of what I'd seen, you guys should have been up 10 at the half. And who knows what happens at that point because there's still another half to play. But it felt like you should have been further ahead by halftime. What did you see? What did you think?
Yeah, I feel like that's what makes games like that even more frustrating on Monday because you feel like there's so many opportunities. Our defense played absolutely fantastic and really gave us a lot of great opportunities. And when they're playing that good and against a really good offense and an MVP quarterback in the past, you got to take advantage of it. And I feel I understand where you're coming from, where you kind of feel like, man, that was a rough first half. But again, you go into that locker room and you're up 1 point.
Yeah.
You're winning the football game. Even if you're tied after that half, you're probably looking at it as a group and being like, we didn't play our best football. We kind of handed them a lot of things, and we're still leading or tied, right?
True.
And so you have to take advantage of that as well. But this game is a crazy game, and momentum can be tough. It can be tough to reattain. And when you get momentum, I think we talked about it after the win last week. It's like you got to ride this momentum and really take advantage of it and keep it going. Otherwise, once it turns the other way, it's tough to get it back. So we got to find a way to turn the tide and find the momentum and stick with it and be consistent, which has been our biggest problem as a team so far this year. Just consistently putting on the stuff, putting on tape who we are as an offense, as a defense, special teams, as a team as a whole. So we got to find that consistency.
Justin had a number of interesting things to say after the game, including a belief that he needed to do more. He needed to help out the young quarterback more. He needed to fight through some of the physicality of the Ravens' defensive backs, and that it felt from afar as if there were some times where he was frustrated. Now, you know this better than most, that a lot of the coverage generally is going to be sent his way. So can you speak to that a little bit? What did you see from JJ? I certainly thought the pass right around the end zone was catchable, and one that he usually is going to catch. I thought that was a pretty damn good throw, actually, by your quarterback, J.J. McCarthy. What did you see from him, and are there times where he, like, even with his star status, needs to fight through some of that frustration?
Yeah, I'll say this to start is frustration is part of this game, and what makes it so great. It's hard to have success, to sustain success, to have it every quarter or every half or every game. It's hard to do. And as a competitor, as a perfectionist, which a lot of us are, to be able to get to this point, it can be frustrating at times. And not to say that means that you should be frustrated, but it's going to happen, and it's part of the game. So you have to, as a player, and he knows that, you have to find a way to handle that frustration and use it to motivate you and to drive you to get back out there and be at your best in the next play. But I will say that guy's a phenomenal leader, and a lot of trust and faith in that locker room of him as a leader, not just as a star football player. So he is one of the most accountable people I've ever been around. He takes accountability, and the next week he figures it out and he finds a way to be better. So thankful for him to be part of our team, and I know that the quarterback room and the play caller has the most confidence in the world with that guy. So excited to see what he does next week.
It has to be. It's one of the interesting, I think, elements of this season is that this team, you could argue on the basis of a lot of the moves that were made in the offseason and coming off the 14-3 season last year, still wants, obviously, to make another run or be in the middle of the playoff race, etc. And yet you're trying to do it with a young QB, and you look at any of these quarterbacks, they need time, right? I mean, most of them, there's the rare exception where a guy walks in and is brilliant from the very first game. But generally, there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. And that's part of what I guess all of you guys have to deal with is that if you can thread the needle of still trying to win games, stay vital this season, and yet still give JJ the opportunity to be patient with him regarding, like we say, we saw in this game. There were some great throws he made, especially early, and then there were some where he was not very accurate. That's the challenge this year, right? Because often, as you know, when young quarterbacks are thrown in there, they're thrown into teams that aren't very good, right? And there's no expectation. So to me, he's facing significant expectations immediately just because everybody's spoiled in the organization by what the team did as recently as last year.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's the way that they built this team. They built it to be able to handle that, right? To be able to put a lot of veterans, a lot of skill guys, a great offensive line, a phenomenal defense, a special teams unit that we have a lot of faith and trust in that's going to give us great field position. And so that's why this team was built the way it was. And so we all have to do our part to take pressure off a young guy who's battling his butt off. And as tough as it gets, he's a gamer, and we have a lot of belief and faith with him, but we all have to do our job and not do more than our job, right? I think a lot of times when things aren't going our way as an offense, I think there's a tendency to want to do more and to go maybe try to make a play and go out of just doing your job. And it always has happened. You know, I'm 13th year in this league, and I've been there, right? Where you just try to do too much, and you kind of go out of the confinement of the playbook or of the play that's called. And I think we all need to just focus on just doing our job. And I think when you do that and you give a young guy confidence, especially a guy like JJ, who is like I said, he's a gamer. And he's got a lot of confidence in himself. When you kind of just do the little things and you make some plays for him, I think his confidence just goes through the roof and really plays at a high level. So at the end of the day, it's about the guys around him to be able to do their job to really allow him to go through some of those growing pains, but also to be at his best.
All right, so you had one very animated session where I think in your case it ended up being a penalty that was declined that you did not believe was a penalty at all. Tell me what happened on that play, because on the TV, they ultimately went to their officiating guy. I think it was Barreiro, wasn't it? I think in this case. And he said he believed it was the right call. Do you feel any differently about it or any less animated about it than you did during the game?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it didn't matter because we didn't complete the pass. So I probably shouldn't have been as animated as I was. But I think it's just frustrating as a player when you kind of, when the refs kind of take a rule that and they kind of don't necessarily understand the football side of it. You know, it's kind of like a technicality of the rule. But if you really just understand football and you watch that play, knowing the fact that I didn't go in there and try to kill the guy, which I very easily could have. That was a design play. Right. I was supposed to go. If he's within a yard of the line of scrimmage, I can go and pick him or hit him and to take him off his man player. and it's a man play that we have designed, right? And so I felt like I did everything to the playbook or to the rule book, and I didn't initiate contact. I waited for him to come to me and stopped him right there. And I think it was a little bit dramatic of, because he didn't see me,
right?
That he kind of fell the way he did, and it probably looked worse than it was. But again, I think the frustrating thing as a player is sometimes these refs don't really understand football, and like you're not. If he really understood football and what that's like, I could have cleaned him out, and I didn't, so it shouldn't have been a flag. But at the end of the day, you can't get animated about that. It is what it is, and got to move on to the next play.
Did you try to talk to
But I think the frustrations of the game that kind of happens.
Gotcha. Sorry about that. Did you? I mean, I don't know if there's ever a chance after a game if refs are off the field fast. I know it's probably not at the top of the list of things you're going to do, but do you ever have conversations after or have the opportunity to out of the heat of the moment to talk to refs where they say, all right, let's, maybe we'll reconsider that, or maybe I misinterpreted that, or maybe you had a point or whatever. Does that ever happen with you?
Yeah, I was able to go up to him after the game and just apologize for, being, yelling at him on the field like that. But I just kind of just apologized and said, I felt like I didn't, hit him with the excessive force, I guess, the blindside block, and the rule book is within a yard of line of scrimmage. You can pick that guy. And so he kind of said, yeah, we're going to get more clarification on that rule because I don't know if we handled that the perfect way. And maybe they did. Maybe that's just how they want it called, and that's fine. I think it's just getting that clarification. But, at the end of the day, I can't lose my cool on a ref. Like they're trying to do their job as well. But, again, there's that kind of that frustration of really understanding what the game looks like and when something is really should be called and shouldn't. But those guys do a great job of being hard on themselves. They get graded out, and they look at every single one of those plays as refs as well. So we'll see what they say as far as the clarification on that.
As you know, there is no time to wallow. You got a game again Sunday, and it's a division game. And don't look now, but the Bears are sitting there at 6-3 this season under their first-year coach, Ben Johnson. They've shown, I think they have 4 final minute come from behind drives to win games. So something different is going on there. They've not played the greatest schedule early, but they've won the game. So you guys, again, I mean, I don't know if you think of it this way, but you're back under 500, 4-5. You're about to go on a couple games road trip afterwards. So must-wins are maybe the wrong way to talk about it, but this is a pretty damn big game on Sunday, is it not, for your fortunes?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like in this league, every win is a must-win, and it feels that way on Mondays, right? Whether you win or lose, it feels like, man, either you kind of get the sigh of relief, okay, we got the dub, or you have this like ache in you that you just want to get back out there, and it's tough to lose games this league. But yeah, I say that all to say it's like, yeah, it's a huge game. We're excited to get back at home. We haven't played particularly well at home, and our record's not great, so we're excited to get back in front of our fans back on Sunday and just show them what we really are about. We got to go and prove that. We can't just talk about, we got this fixed or we got this covered, or if we could have just done this better. We have to go out there and prove that. So just trying to get to Sunday, and prepare in a way that helps us to go and execute. I think when you have games like you had on Sunday, it makes you realize how important that preparation is and how locked in you got to be in every single, rep, whether it's a walkthrough, a jog through, or a live full speed rep against the scout team, like how important those reps are. And sometimes you get in the monotony of the season and you kind of just go through the motions, and you're not trying to, but that's just kind of how it happens. And losses like that make you realize like you gotta really take advantage of every single opportunity you have leading up for preparation, because then those things don't happen when you prepare the right way. So that's what our focus is. And like I said, we're excited to get back at US Bank, but it's definitely not going to be a walk in the park. It's a really good football team who's only getting better, especially since the first time we played them. They've gotten a heck of a lot better under a new coaching staff. So will be a great test for us, and we'll see what we're made of.
Thank you, Adam. We'll chat next week. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Adam Thielen is the Vikings wide receiver who joins us weekly during the uneven, as he even is willing to admit and stating the obvious, 2025 football season for your Minnesota Vikings. Bradshaw and Bryan KFAN text line is open, as it has been throughout the program. It's 64686. We got a lot of good Vikings talking points to get to.
Do you think his voice was a little raspy from yelling at the officials?
It might have been. He was animated. I guess I had not realized that he had apologized after, which is probably a smart move. Probably the judicious thing to do.
Yeah.
And maybe even you gain a little ground in that regard, and maybe you get a little bit more information. I don't know the rule well enough to know.
Right.
Because part of the debate was, well, that's not supposed to be called when it comes from the side. It's supposed to be called when you're going in the other direction, is the way the TV people put it. So even they wondered, before Barreiro got in it, that's what they wondered, because this was at the end of the line. So this was kind of going sideways, one could say.
Yep.
Barreiro was very clear.
He came right out with it.
There's nothing even to think about here. I'm going to assume he's right. I have absolutely no idea. I do think I get Thielen's point that it probably looked worse than it was, the way he went down.
Yeah.
And a lot of times anymore, that's what refs are responding to, right?
For sure.
The look of, oh, this looks bad. This looks like a criminal act of some sort, right?
I could have cleaned him out, he said.
Yes.
I like that.
That is
what I could have laid him out, which is true. I don't think he tried to do that. But it's interesting, though, that you'd even have a play that calls for that would that can be so interpreted.
Yes.
Where Pereira says it's cut and dry. Thielen's saying, look, that's not what it was. I assume the offensive staff knows what they're trying to do there. It's interesting. Well,
as he pointed out, the moral of the story is, and this kind of tells the story of the game, it didn't matter because we didn't convert.
Right.
It's like So they were more than willing to decline the penalty because the Vikings didn't make the play when they needed to make the play. That'll be part of the emphasis when we come back with some Vikings talking points for sure. And maybe we even get to one with Johnny Athletic, who's going to join at 4:02. Ben Lieber is scheduled for 4:47, and Thrifty Traveler guy Kyle Potter on the current state of domestic and international air travel out of the United States of America is 5:30 this evening, even with signs that there might be a breakthrough and the so-called lockout might end. Then there's still, I guess, a lot of bumps on the road for air travel for quite some time. And he'll get into the percentages of number of flights that have been postponed or canceled and how long that's going to go on and the longer-term ramifications of it as well. And as I mentioned, we'll take a look. There's some interesting texts that have come in again from the McBobos who don't want to live in 2025 reality. They just don't. And I get it, because they want to root for their guy so much and they believe this is going to be the guy, and they don't want to listen to any sort of pushback or criticism on this guy, especially when he's played as little as he has. But I'm going to warn them of something I told them back in late August and September that they obviously didn't want to believe, but that it remains, I think, as true today as it was when we talked about it back then.
And now, famous moments in a
kick-ass offense.
1st and 10, Minnesota.
Oh, come on.
McCarthy is under center. His cadence may...
False start. Offense, number 85. 5-yard penalty. It's first down.
That's the third false start penalty against the moving company today, 1st and 15.
This game's about mistakes, Paul.
Join us again for another famous moment in a
Kick-ass offense.